Today is an example of what I'm talking about when I say that autumn in New York is my favorite time of year. Grand Theft Auto, the sun, but it's not too hot. Look at that, 75 degrees, perfect. It's amazing, it's the end of October, and that means we're just days away from the next presidential election, and that means that social engineering is afoot. People have been wondering, hey, what about the October surprise? I wonder what she thought of the assassination attempt. What about the October surprise? Maybe, I don't know, maybe we've already had it and it's been thwarted or something, but a lot of people saw last week there was this whole, I don't know what you would even call it. There was a lot of posts on X and people commenting about different allegations of, allegations against Tim Walz, basically of inappropriate contact with his various students, several students. At one point, I think it was as many as 3 people came forward last week. But it sort of became a strange thing in that, I don't know, did social engineers catch and kill that story? Because everybody was focusing on what the black insurrectionist was talking about, and then he got, canceled off of X for reasons that remain kind of vague. And I was in communication with him a little bit. Ian Carroll was talking about it. He was in communication with, black, what is his name? Black insurrectionist. Ian said he was in touch with that guy, and also the alleged victim. See, the confusion first came for me because Charles was talking to me about, I had seen it, and then Charles mentioned it. And see, this is interesting. I've noticed this pattern because that usually is my first indication that something is like gaining virality. Holy crap. Look at this FedEx sort happening here. Why are they allowed to use up so many parking spaces rather than having like a FedEx office to do this in? I guess they just saw Amazon doing it and figured, why not? It's almost like an obstacle course for this guy's bicycle. So sort of a fun, look at this. What the hell? I don't know. Anyway, this has become almost a pattern where I notice something, then Charles is like, oh, hey, look at this something. And I'm like, it just means there's a lot of, how do they make something go viral? I don't really know. But I guess that's what they're doing. They're pushing it out to a lot of people. So that happened, and Charles was like, hey, look at this black insurrectionist. And I had seen that earlier in the day. And then when I looked back, when Charles brought it to my attention, he was talking about Dugan. Actually, that's the aspect that Charles brought to my attention. That's what it was. I had seen the guy just posting about, hey, I'm in communication with this victim. And I was like, all right, allegations. Then Charles sends me, look, this has something to do with Dugan. And it was that the black insurrectionist said that Dugan had, been on this interview with Red Pill 78 and Rick. So I said, well, that's interesting. I mean, I know Dugan. Let me call Dugan and ask him, what's the deal with this? And I just didn't really dig into what the black insurrectionist was writing about there at all, beyond the fact that there was somebody making allegations and then there was Dugan. So I spoke to Dugan on the phone for, 5 minutes. He kind of gets right to the point. And he said, yeah, sure, I'll put you in touch with this guy. And that's when I actually didn't speak to Rick at all. I was just phone call with Dugan and then texting. Dugan and I have known each other for like 7 years now. So I don't know, I kind of trust him a lot. He's very high on the scale of people who I have only known through the internet and since starting Crowdsource the Truth. He's never lied to me. Dugan has never lied to me about anything, and I've never discovered that anything he's said to anyone is untrue. That's a better track record than most people that I've known since 2016. I trust Dugan. So, and also he was a cop and a Marine. I'm not crazy about those aspects, but he actually, to me, is the type of those things that he's honorable. He did that. He left the cops when he found out that they were stealing cocaine and banging hookers and stuff like that, and they tried to kill him. So that's the thing. He's the rare example of an honest cop who, when they do put their head up, this is why so many people can't do it, because they see guys like Dugan get their head chopped off. Anyway, so what I'm getting at is when I deal with Dugan, it's pretty normal. That's like regular friend stuff. You have a 5-minute conversation and there's a few texts to smooth out the details. That's what happened. I was, there was just like the time and here's the Zoom login. I was just texting that stuff to Dugan, and then Rick showed up on the Zoom call at the whatever agreed upon time. So that was the first time I spoke to Rick, and that's the interview that everybody saw. And as I said, nothing was cut out of that except for a moment where he asked to go for the bathroom or to get a drink of water or something. And actually, we spoke about that in the second interview. So there was nothing that Rick said to me that people haven't heard. There was no, not like a million emails or anything. I just, you saw everything. And then, so that's the thing. I was confused when I was talking to Rick because we hadn't sorted out any details, and I hadn't even seen the interview that Rick did with Red Pill 78 and Dugan. But now what I have come to understand is that he became emotional during that interview. I saw it now since talking to the guy. And so I believe what occurred was Rick did that interview because he wanted to get the story out, became emotional during that interview, and then was kind of unhappy with that appearance. So he wanted to do another interview to kind of get his story out right. And that was why when I called Dugan and said, hey, will this guy talk to me? He said yes. Then he comes on my show, we do that first interview. He explains the story, which had nothing to do with the Goo Goo Dolls, or who was it that they said, the Indigo Girls. Nothing to do with going to a...
Do you do videos here in Manhattan daily?
Often.
What's your name?
My name is Jason. What's your name?
Jorge.
Have a nice day, Jorge. I don't really want to talk to strangers. What was I just talking about before Jorge interrupted me? Dugan, Rick. So Rick comes on, he's talking to me. And remember, I was confused. I thought, Rick didn't go to an Indigo Girls concert, never said he went to an Indigo Girls concert, never anything to do with any of the most wild claims that the black insurrectionist was talking about. Rick's claims were quite clear. He made them on the show. He said that this guy, Tim Walz, befriended him, touched him inappropriately, spoke to him about gay stuff that made him feel uncomfortable as a student and as a person, as a man. He explained it. People can go back and watch that. Point is, it seems now that the black insurrectionist has conflated certain false allegations with the real allegations, and he's even admitted now that they were false. But what's strange is, so Ian Carroll got all over this story. He's apparently the authority on everything now. Vegas, remember, he was supporting Mindy. He really made John Cullen angry. And that might have been a reaction I should have paid more attention to. It's almost like if you have a dog and somebody comes over and your dog doesn't like that person. Why is that? But yeah, Ian was, messing with Cullen. We got a lumberjack there. Ian was messing with Cullen on the Vegas stuff. and saying, hey, everybody watch Mindy. I don't know, that wasn't really too cool. But so Ian, I'm not sure what to say about Ian. I mean, I thought he was a pretty nice guy. I wonder what she thinks about the assassination attempt. She looks like she's going to leg day. But Ian's an interesting guy. Ian just came to my attention. Do people know who Ian is? This is Ian. Ian Carroll with the cancel culture clothing company, whatever it is. But look at his logo there. Doesn't it look like a, what do you call that? A caduceus with the two snakes wrapped around the thing? I don't know. That's a little weird. But so he had this post. He's been all over this story for whatever reason. And then he had a post just yesterday or the day before or something like that. He's on Twitter a lot. Here, he's saying this is his final post about it, and he says that the Tim Walz accuser has been debunked. What is that about? He hasn't spoken to Rick as far as I know. I don't know why this guy's in charge of bunking or debunking any particular thing. But the really weird aspect of it, oh, actually, where am I going? Oh no, we wanted to check out, I was gonna go by people want me to do things that are maybe dangerous. Actually, nobody really wanted me to do this. I just was checking on what's going on at the Walcott Hotel, see what's happening over there. But special patrolman. What is a special patrolman? That's not a real cop. That's interesting that guy's wearing the special patrolman badge on his, and he walked away when I started talking about it. I looked that up when I was looking into the different laws that allow the police to just assign fake people to be police. What is that about, that he's a special patrolman? Let's find out. You have a gun? Let's look at that. I think he's not an actual cop. Yeah, he has no gun. It's interesting. So what the hell is this special patrolman? He's hanging out here at the cart. I'm being distracted from my discussion of Ian, but can I ask you a quick question? See, I got a quick question. What is a special patrolman?
Say again?
What is a special patrolman?
It's a peace officer that works directly with a company that you get the training through the NYPD.
What company?
34th Street Partnership, any company that has special patrolman status.
What company do you work for?
34th Street Partnership.
What?
34th Street Partnership.
So you're not actually NYPD?
No. But I have peace officer status with the
Interesting. Okay, so now we know something. Peace officer status. That's something to look into. So he's shaking down the guy with the cart, but what about the people who are, these guys are selling weed right here, and you got people with the coolers. How does that guy decide who gets a ticket and who doesn't? Look, we got a whole network of people doing crime here on the street. But anyway, back to Ian Carroll. He did that whole breakdown where he said the thing has been debunked. But I don't understand. He didn't even talk to Rick, as far as I know. Didn't talk to me about the interview with Rick. And I know he knows who I am because I had first met Ian back in January. He posted this, where he's saying, oh, hey, Quinn Michaels, question for the crypto AI community. Is Quinn Michaels crazy? And then he tagged me to make sure he got my attention. And I mean, I had maybe like 1,000 people on Twitter at that time. So this big, huge Twitter account tagging me definitely got my attention. And I was like, hey, this guy Ian, he's pretty friendly. helping me grow the reach of this Twitter account, I had a pretty positive, I need to keep this in mind because it's real easy. See, this is an insidious aspect of social engineering, and I'm not saying that Ian is a social engineer. I'm evaluating this from the standpoint of asking that question. Social engineers endeavor to create an environment where the target, in this case me, can't trust anyone. Because if somebody approaches you, whether in real life or on the internet or whatever, and is like, hey, I'm a friendly stranger, we're two people, we could be friends, colleagues, associates, enter into some sort of mutually beneficial interaction, a wide range of ways people could help each other and get to know each other and have friends and allies. But what they do is they try to make it so that so many people who approach you and do that prove to be untrustworthy, so that you literally can't trust anybody, basically. And unfortunately, that's the situation that I am put in. So I hope Ian will see this video, and I hope he won't take offense if I'm incorrect. Or I should say, I hope he won't take offense if he is not a social engineer and merely asking the question or exploring the possibility is what I'm doing. I don't know if he is or isn't. I'm just beginning to evaluate his behavior from the standpoint of what the hell is he doing? Because he could have just said, hey, just like he said about Quinn Michaels. Why didn't he say, oh, does Jason know anything about this? I saw a lot of people tweeting at him saying, oh, Jason spoke to another guy. See, my confusion was, again, people were like, oh, you should delete this. Remember, a lot of people I didn't know told me, is the bong stores, smoke distributors with the motorcycles still open? Yeah, so I'm back to this potentially dangerous neighborhood. Where we had Tren de Aragua running that hotel. But, and then I lost my train of thought again. Since the last time I was here, Timothy Pearson, who was a Eric Adams aide, who apparently had some responsibility for the migrant hotel deals that were being made to house migrants in these hotels. Oh, did people see Elon Musk in Pittsburgh last night? Somebody mentioned Ryan Mata's movie. See, that guy, he doesn't look too fond of me recording him. Tinted windows. A lot of people coordinating stuff. There's something going on at this hotel. Foreign, out-of-state plates. Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, right, back to Ian. Yeah, I mean, no offense, man, but I don't know you. You showed up in January. It's interesting, too, because Quinn Michaels being the way in, it's almost a tell, right? Quinn approached me friendly. Look at this is all going out of business. This hat center, that's still there. How many people are buying hats? Some weird stuff stays in business. This was the weed flea market, but now, I don't know. It's Christmas ornaments in October. Yeah, so it was weird in my view that he didn't even contact me to attempt to understand what might have been going on with this dude, Rick. And then there was somebody else. There was Constitution Project, who within a day was like, oh, this is debunked. You know, I contacted Jason to put me in touch with Rick and he didn't say anything. And it was like the guy had sent me a DM. I don't even know who this Constitution Project person is. Sent me a DM at like 4:30 on Friday, which I saw sometime after the show with Cullen. And then I sent Rick an email. Gotta remember, I'm not this guy Rick's agent. I haven't spoken to him on the phone. I had given him my email after the second interview, and he sent me one email, and I responded to that, and that is the full extent of our communication. So I'm not like booking this guy on interviews. I'm not his manager or something like that. I don't even know if he wants to do more interviews or ever checks his email. He said he lives in Kazakhstan, doesn't want to have a lawsuit. That's the other thing. See, what Ian said in his video, it was sort of true to what the black insurrectionist had said to me. I'm sorry, what Ian said, not in his interview, in his video, debunking everything. It matched what the black insurrectionist said to me. Black insurrectionist was like, oh, do you want to interview this witness? I said, sure. I even sent him my phone number. And then when he didn't, call me, that was the last message I had with black insurrectionist before he got kicked off of Twitter, was DMing him my phone number. And so when he didn't call me to say, oh, I got kicked off of Twitter or whatever the problem was, I became suspicious. Like, why is this guy asking for my phone number to set up an interview and then not setting it up? So that was very questionable. So, I mean, again, it seems to me if your purpose was to immediately catch and kill and basically squash this story, that there are, in fact, students at the high schools that Tim Walz was a teacher at who've come forward with various allegations. I can't speak for anybody except for the person who I spoke to myself, which was Rick, and his allegations seemed credible to me. People can hear what he said right there. And then, this was also strange. Ian was like, oh, if you're going to whistleblow, do it this way and that way. You have to get a lawyer. You have to do this. I'm not telling anybody. I don't know what a victim of anything has to do. I mean, as far as I can tell, this guy Rick doesn't have to do anything. He's hanging out there in Kazakhstan. He could never speak to any of us again, and then what? By the way, I have no dog in this hunt, right? We heard Rick on the phone. You heard him just like I did. Seemed like he was telling the truth. If it turns out that he's not, I don't understand. That doesn't affect me. People are like, oh, not really saying this to me because I think they know I haven't said anything one way or another other than here's this guy. But they're talking about the credibility of the witness. Well, all right, so if he has no credibility, then what? That's what doesn't affect me. If people think this witness has no credibility, fine. Don't believe him then. You're free to think that. I'm not telling anybody to believe him. I'm telling you the story of how he came to be interviewed on my show and sharing my opinion that I believe him seems reasonable. And I also think this is the way social engineers handle these kind of, this is catch and kill, right? I never knew about that. I never heard of catch and kill before, where did we hear that? With Stormy Daniels, right? That's political operative kind of like espionage type stuff. One thing I did not know 8 years ago when I started Crowdsource the Truth, maybe I should have, I don't know, but journalism and espionage are so closely connected. I mean, I guess the idea is it's about getting sources and learning information that people don't want you to know and exposing corruption and stuff like that. So there's all these ties, links between what is going on here. Bravo Pizza. I guess it's just an outdoor. I thought they had to close all these. This is like a particularly big one. Huh, wow, weird. That's gotta be hot as hell in there. Baking, oh, it's Sukkot. Is that a kosher pizza place? That's a Sukkot. Huh, that's why it's blue and white for Israel. Sukkot, the holiday. You build a hut and eat outside. Anyway, so Ian, yeah, right, catch and kill. So we learned about that from Harvey Weinstein? No, Stormy Daniels. No, Harvey Weinstein was also trying to catch and kill stories. They said that he was using Black Cube, the Israeli intelligence firm. This guy from New Jersey is telling me to cross the street when the light is in my favor and he's got tickets in his window. He's ready to get arrested, run people over. Hard to keep the train of thought when you're about to get hit by a car. I was gonna head up to Times Square. I know people have been hungry for a walking around video, see how much stuff is going out of business. There's the Langham Hotel. Remember, Hawkins used to talk about the one in London, and we went there actually. What did they have, the first radio or the first telegraph in London? I don't know if this one has anything special about it. But yeah, there's a lot of things about journalism and espionage that are pretty linked. I don't think I knew that. And also, political operatives. What is that? Who ever heard of that before? Yeah, I mean, Trump really has exposed the deep state, right? Some people still find that ridiculous to talk about, but what do you think all this backroom nonsense is? I think that guy, Rick, why would he do that? Like I said, he's not trying to sue anybody. He's not trying to sell a book. People say, oh, you need to come forward and tell your name to do whatever. But why does he need to do that? He just told you this story, and that's it. As far as he's concerned, do whatever you want. Don't believe it if you don't want to. He has nothing invested in this. So you're saying, oh, it's Russian propaganda. Well, first of all, I don't even know what the deal is with Kazakhstan versus Russia. I don't think they're that close, because remember, there were some of these former Soviet republics that were like, hey, Putin, we want to, get into like a NATO-style deal or a Warsaw Pact kind of arrangement with Russia. And Russia was like, yeah, we don't want that. We don't want these like big international defense agreements where we have to go to war for you and expand the likelihood of conflict, etc. That's actually, when you think about it, yeah, NATO makes it more likely now that there would be a war. I mean, it's like anything. In 1947 or whenever they made it, I guess it made sense, We had just had World War II and everybody was all bent out of shape about that, but just like times change for all kinds of reasons. What do you think about the assassination attempt? It's a little too far in the rearview mirror now to ask people that. It's sort of out of nowhere. That's amazing that it's that far gone already. Here's Shaver Hall. They don't tell you what they're shaving in there, though. Nice drawings. But that's how they do the catch and kill. They get right up to a story to control it, and then it's the limited hangout, it's the all that different stuff. Ian has a huge account. He's approaching 1 million followers. He's on stage there with RFK and Brett Weinstein. I don't know. Brett Weinstein claims to want to know what's going on with the assassination. I don't think so. I think he's there to make sure we don't find out exactly what happened. Here's a two-tone matte Rolls Royce. Why do we need that? Yeah, I mean, I would have to say I think that Ian tried to take control of this story to avoid talking about Rick. Doesn't make sense that you would not want to go near that part of the story. I mean, in fact, it seems obvious that Tim Walz and people interested in defending him would have an interest in injecting false victims. This is what they do all the time. Remember, it took me years to kind of get this through to Charles. I don't know if he thinks I'm correct or not, but this is what they do all the time. When they were trying to pass these 33,000 Hillary Clinton emails off from Peter Smith to Charles, that was the whole idea. There never were 33,000 emails that Peter Smith was going to get from Russian hackers. That was fake. That was probably made up nonsense created by Chris Boozy or somebody like that, because the idea would have been have Peter Smith give those fake emails to Charles. Their hope would be that Charles would say, oh my goodness, look at this incredible information. And then he would take it and write articles in American Thinker or, Gateway Pundit or wherever Charles would put that stuff. And then they would come out and say, oh, it's fake, like Ian just did.
You're wrong, candid camera.
Who is saying all that crap? They'd have somebody come out and say, oh, it's fake, it's been debunked like Ian just has. And then any whistleblower story is like, oh yeah, that was debunked because the guy with the 1 million follower account, he already said it's debunked. That's what they would have intended to do with the emails, but Charles is too smart to be fooled by Peter Smith, and he never accepted those emails. And that's also what they intended essentially to do with me. Hey, why don't you call the Coast Guard and tell them there's a dirty bomb. This is why I don't like advice from strangers, and why it's pretty useless for any stranger who actually does want to give good advice to just, from a fake name Twitter account be like, oh, do this or whatever. It's just, no. Smart people, even if they're using a fake name, realize why. That's just not an effective strategy. So if you want to communicate with me or somebody like me, you gotta not do it that way, or it's just going to be presumed to be social engineering. So anyway, we got these social engineering campaigns all around us everywhere. I wonder why. See, the Times Square guy wants to bust the chops of the dude selling hot dogs. Not that I care about them so much, but here are people illegal vending all over the place. Illegal bites, no doubt. There is a woman running for comptroller right now. I forget her name. I'll try to remember it for future broadcasts, but she's proposing that everybody with an e-bike has to have a license, and I think that's the way it's got to work. Those things are too high performance and too prolific to not be regulated. People have shown that they're too stupid to ride them safely, so we need regulation, unfortunately. And it's like, oh, everything's overregulated. Right, but the problem is we live in a society filled with morons. If people were smart enough to realize that you shouldn't ride a vehicle 30 miles an hour on the sidewalk where there's old ladies and little kids, then maybe we wouldn't need it. But we're not there. So let's see, what else did I want to show everybody about this? Yeah, so the black insurrectionist, he got a new, this was also weird. So we were in communication like pretty regularly. he got a new account. You know, he got kicked off, got a new account, and I immediately followed him, and he didn't say anything. He didn't say, oh yeah, let's do that interview. And here he's saying, yeah, it was fake. So he's admitting it's fake. And I mean, I don't know who this black insurrectionist person is. Somebody said to me, oh, how do you know it's not Ali Alexander? I don't know that. And I asked them, how do you know that it is? Like, was that just a guess, or do you have some reason to believe it is? I don't know who it is running that account. Could be anybody. But I'm just pointing out the things that that person did. I think they're not so consistent with somebody who's being honest with me, but I'm not sure. You know, that person could still contact me. I'm suspicious of them for sure. And you know, you can draw your own conclusions. So I guess this is everybody setting up the Christmas village, right? This is Bryant Park, and they always have that big Christmas village. Here it is, getting it all set up.
Obviously, but I just wanted to make sure that that's kind of the
Moo Moo Bath. Some of these people, I guess, are, you know, getting ready to do kind of the bulk of their business for the whole entire year. Yeah, so he admitted that it was fake. And then, I mean, again, it's, you never know who the adversaries and allies might be. This place is called No Chewing Allowed. What is that about? Maybe a tobacco store? They don't want you to chew the tobacco? This is quite a thing getting set up over here. So the black insurrectionist admits the information was fake. That's pretty bad. But I don't know. They, Ian could have told people to go to odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth. It's free, actually. You don't even need to become a member to watch this. But he could have told people, well, go watch this interview with Rick and see if Rick is on the level. But he did not do that. That guy stopped to look at me. What is he looking at? It's all very strange. I think it was an effort to cover that up. And if that's true, then what is Ian doing covering these things up? Ian, reach out to me and explain why I've got this wrong. But I found it really weird that you did not want to say anything at all about this guy Rick, given that we know each other and lots of people were telling you to look at what I was speaking with him about. It's just very strange. And there was also that whole deal with Mindy, right? And Mindy's everywhere now that her friend Vem, this is another thing to talk about, Vem Miller. Everyone's like, oh, he's a hero. Well, okay, it seems to me that both sides of that equation are strange, like oddly controlled fellows who, Roger Stone is like, oh, why is this cop getting paid $600,000? But then when people look around at other, sheriff level dudes or whatever that guy was, they're all making $500,000-$600,000 in California. It's a little crazy. I didn't realize they made that much money, but whatever, I guess they're risking their safety. The point is, I just got distracted from the point, looking at all this stuff. Can you imagine even just how much money is being spent right here, setting up these different huts? It's a nice afternoon. Yeah, I mean, the point is social engineering. That's how you make a story go away. Could be working for Tim Walz, right? Could be working for, oh yeah, right, we were talking about Vem Miller. So again, they create this whole, it's just another story for people to be arguing about. Is this guy the third assassination? And obviously it doesn't seem like he was trying to make an assassination attempt, but that, gets headlines, that gets people paying attention to it. And again, it seems like they're very into creating false adversaries, right? That's the Flynn side of the equation, where, remember, the whole first half, or maybe the entire Trump presidency, Flynn was supposed to be this hero who was being persecuted by the DOJ. Now, there seems to be a lot of evidence that shows that Flynn maybe was a double-cross agent of the DOJ working with Andrew Weissman and all of them. Flynn got very upset when I started talking to Andrew Weissman about Felix Sater. Isn't that interesting? And see, they want you to think that Felix Sater is associated with Trump because he worked for Trump Tower, or, he worked in Trump Tower, and he was trying to create Trump Tower Moscow. That sounds like their whole story. When you read Andrew Weissman's book, everything that he says about Felix Sater, he's like, oh, he worked at Trump Tower of all places. Ha ha, isn't that a coincidence? I certainly had nothing to do with him working there. I don't know, it's just very suspicious how he speaks about Felix Sater and his employment there in Trump Tower. I see, I'm also very curious about our friend Richard Izquierdo Arroyo over there at the Neighborhood Association of Intercultural Affairs. How did they allow him to work there and pay him $656,000? Oh, did people see, if you're not following on X, I forgot to capture this on video, but I went to the New York City, whatever it is, campaign finance, whatever, committee, or I don't remember exactly what the name of it is, but you can look up who's donating to who for mayor and whatever. And Izquierdo Arroyo did, in fact, donate money to Eric Adams. So I had speculated originally that, oh, maybe they're paying this guy some huge overpayment in terms of his salary of $656,000 a year, and then he's charged with, disseminating that money as political contributions. Well, now there's hard evidence that he's at least doing that in his own name. There's a couple of other people there with the last name Arroyo, but that is admittedly a pretty common last name, or Izquierdo Arroyo. I don't have it in front of me right now. Point is, he would need to be doing it on some kind of pretty large scale. Haven't found the evidence of that yet. Here's, I guess, Guy Fieri opening a chicken restaurant soon. More dirty fruit to be bought in front of the chicken restaurant. I just wanted to come check out Times Square a little bit because we've been getting a lot of reporting that Trende Aragua Jr. is cropping up in the form of, what do they call it? The Los Diablos de, I don't know how to say 42. Cuatro Ds, I don't know how to say 42. But the Little Devils of 42nd Street are apparently a gang of 11 to 15-year-olds shooting people. It seems pretty dangerous. Just because, I mean, that's one of the most kind of reprehensible things you could think of. You see those pictures from these war-torn African nations where, I don't know, maybe Rwanda or something, or where are they? Yeah, that was one. They had a huge genocide. You see these like little child soldiers where it's like a 10, 12-year-old kid with a machine gun, and you can just tell by the look on this kid's face that he's shot lots of people. And how can you ever, that's not a normal way for a human to develop. I think you're basically doomed to a life of, I don't know, maybe insanity, creating kind of like a society of amoral psychopaths who just have no purpose in life other than to do crime. That's the danger that we face. So there's a real societal harm beyond just getting your stuff stolen. when they allow crime to run rampant like this, it it creates the next generation of completely not only unproductive, it's like counterproductive members of society. So I don't know what's going to be done, if anything. And they said that it was like some small number of people, I don't have the number, but some small number of people that are responsible for like 80% of the crimes that are going on. I mean, it's so crazy that you wouldn't just arrest whoever that is and keep them in jail or deport them or whatever. I mean, I guess just coming up here right now at any random time, it looks about the same as it always does. Maniacs in the cheap rip-off suits. Like, who is that with the baby head? I don't recognize this baby. Oh look, Carlos Times Square cake store. So there's stuff opening. I mean, that's a mega $1 million thing, right? That's a TV show that runs that cake store. It looks impressive. Anybody out here eating cake? Not really. It's pretty hot. I mean, it's almost like summer today. Oh my God, that gorilla suit's got to be 1,000,000 degrees. Oh, the other thing that people are losing their minds over, there used to be a big McDonald's somewhere here in Times Square, right? I guess over there, it's closed. But people were freaking out over Trump working at McDonald's. I saw, oh yeah, and that's what the black insurrectionist told me, is that he got kicked off of Twitter for saying something bad about Krasenstein. And then it was Krasenstein who I just saw losing his mind over Trump working at McDonald's. He's like, this is a stunt. It's like, well, I mean, what are you even saying? Obviously, Trump doesn't actually work at McDonald's. He's running for president, and this is like, yeah, it's a stunt, it's a campaign event, it's a joke or whatever. He's making a point that Kamala Harris did not work at McDonald's. I mean, the other day, just 2 days ago, Kamala Harris did a comedy sketch with Saturday Night Live. What was that? I mean, she doesn't work for Saturday Night Live, does she? It was a campaign stunt. An event, a thing. What the hell is Krasenstein even talking about? It's the stupidest thing ever. Trump just went there to greet people in the neighborhood and like, oh, it was a closed McDonald's. So you think so far they've only tried to kill him 2 or 3 times. You think they're just gonna stick Trump randomly into a McDonald's and allow any person at all to walk right up to him? Obviously, that was a setup. Whoever owns that McDonald's and works there was carefully selected, and I would think it's closed to the public. You can't just walk in there and order French fries from Trump and pull out a gun out of your glove compartment. So Krasenstein is an idiot. It doesn't look like any Tren de Aragua killers are around right now. That's a good thing. There's no cops around either, which is crazy. Let's just see. Oh, well, we have Deadpool, so that's good. Yeah, it's a good costume, actually. But even so, I don't understand why Disney doesn't say, hey, Eric Adams, we pay all kinds of money to have stores in New York City, and you're just letting people steal our copyright. Oh, here's the Apple. Is that Apple? No, Invesco QQQ. That thing seems like a big failure to me, that Apple headset, Vision Pro. And I really wanted it to be good. Where do we have to stand for this 3D to work? Here's a seal up there. Did people see this thing Elon Musk posted where he's saying that they made him test the, who was it? Oh, there's the McDonald's. The FAA made him test seals for sonic booms or something. They had to capture these seals and put headphones on the seals. It was one of the stupidest things I've ever seen. And then I guess they're playing sounds for the seals. And then do what? Give them a survey? It just seemed like torturing seals. But apparently the government told them they had to do it. Like, how do you even go about that? Oh, we gotta get some seal headphones. Make sure they're sealed. Where are the ears even? It's crazy. Now, here we have an object d'art. I would say it looks somewhat Dali-esque, but not really. It almost looks like somebody's biting this from Dali and not doing a great job of it. This is the chair, Tovar, the chair. It's giant, big chair. Can you sit in it? I'm sure they'll yell at you. Somebody should take a picture of Elmo. Tickle me Elmo in the chair. Here's the naked cowboy doing his rounds. Beyonce doing laundry. I doubt that's happened for a long time. Anyway, this is it. We don't see Trende Aragua shooting anybody. Maybe the naked cowboy will know about that.
One thing at a time. Allo, Adalberto. Allo, Adalberto.
Abraço. Isso. O que fala abraço em inglês?
Allo.
Excuse me?
Abraço.
Sorry, I just want to ask how much
Allo, abraço.
Abraço em português.
I'm coming. Okay. So, allo, abraço is the
Abraço is Adalberto.
Allo,
My dad.
Naked cowboy, have you seen the 11-year-old gang shooting anybody?
Not yet, but I'm looking forward to it.
Keep your eyes out for that.
Hey, I got 2 guns and a small pistol.
Those guys are keeping their eyes on the naked cowboy. I don't know if they're here shooting anybody. It seems rather calm today, to tell you the truth. I don't like going near that thing because it's always playing Alicia Keys and it wants to monetize the live stream. Okay, so nobody getting killed. I would think the naked cowboy would have his finger on the pulse of that. If somebody was getting shot in Times Square, that guy would know about it, so what's the deal? Naked cowboy news. That would be an idea for him, wouldn't it? Here's a woman walking around with her pregnant belly sticking out. It's a little weird. Times Square. It's funny, here's somebody's got their face covered pretty aggressively. That's a very suspicious thing these days. People with their faces totally covered. What are they? Is monkeypox even still around? All that stuff is over, isn't it? Oh yeah, here's Venom being advertised. Maybe it's gone already. So anyway, I don't know. I don't think Rick has to do anything. So when this guy, Constitutional Project, whatever his name is, was like, oh dude, I want to vet your, this is what I think I forgot to finish. Came out with a tweet, sent me a DM, I don't know who it is, Constitutional Project, sent me a DM saying, hey man, put me in touch with the witness that you spoke to. I saw that after the show with Cohen, sent an email to Rick saying, do you want to talk to this person? Then I woke up in the morning and saw that Constitutional Project was like, this has been debunked. Rick wouldn't, talk to back up his claims. I communicated with, at JG_CSTT. And then I wrote to him, I was like, dude, what do I have, like a 10-hour window with you to answer, or immediately that's it? I don't know this guy, and I don't even know if he's home. It's a weekend. Like, what are you doing? And he just started telling me, like, oh, I need to do this, and Rick needs to do that. It's like, no, nobody needs to do anything. I might never ever speak to the guy again, and I have no control over that. And if he doesn't want to talk about it anymore, then that's it. You can choose to believe him or not. But it was weird. So I put up a few tweets about my interaction with that Constitutional Project guy. But again, it's just very weird. These people using fake names, you know, with Black Insurrectionist and Constitutional Project. I don't know who these people are. Making all kinds of demands on victims of alleged crimes. They don't get to dictate who does what and how they have to do it. So the whole totality of events, it makes me feel like this would help us understand this better. It makes me feel like this was done to suppress Rick's story. Like maybe Rick's story came out and they were like, oh no, that's real. We need to put out a fake victim and then expose that fake victim as being fake before the real victim, you know, before the story catches any fire, because then we can say, oh, every story about this is fake. But it seems like that's what's been done. So, I mean, look, there's really not anything more that I can do. This guy, Rick, is an adult. He's in another country. He's handling this situation the way he wants to handle it. As far as like other victims, I mean, again, I don't think there's anything I can do. So yeah, I don't know, why was everybody so quick to say, oh, this is debunked? Like Ian should answer this. People should ask him, like, why was he so quick to debunk this? Why is he suddenly the jury over all this stuff? I don't understand that. And why didn't he acknowledge or speak about or to Rick at all? He seemed much more credible than the first guy. Oh yeah, something else pretty funny. People have started sending me photographs of their over-the-top Bloody Marys. I like it. I'm not a drinker, but I do like the over-the-top Bloody Marys. They look cool. I mean, it's, you know, it's almost like an alcoholic shrimp cocktail at that point. Some of them. And then people had ones with fried chicken in them. Gets a little crazy. I could see a mozzarella stick, right? I think Charles would balk at that. He likes, I think, just booze. But yeah, it's a crazy time of year. We got the election coming. A lot of uncertainty. It just doesn't seem like they're going to allow Trump to, you know, peacefully take the presidency. Come up with something stupid to do. Oh yeah, I was sad to learn that this woman who's against the e-bikes also played some role in shutting down the illegal pot stores. I guess I'm not against shutting down illegal pot stores. I think they just need to make it a more reasonable process to open it legally. Like, it seems like there's like 8, which is a stupid way to do that, but I guess they're not satisfied unless they're doing something in a stupid way. A lot of people expecting perhaps a Black Swan event. Many have been pointing to the, I mean, this is something I can't really talk about other than to observe it, but the credit crisis with the banks being potentially 7 times worse than it was in 2008. It's actually feeling a lot hotter than I realized. It's 75.
No, I was like,
We've got that. We've got everything going on with Russia and Ukraine and Israel and Iran, Gaza. Holy crap. It's like their mobile home or something.
so now I'm telling you.
Mobile home away from home. Let's see if we get some shade on the other side of the street. Yeah, Elon Musk has also kind of transformed into Monty Hall, giving out $1 million a day. Pretty crazy. People see that sculpture with the sneakers? I mean, I guess I'm for it. It just seems strange. We've never seen anything like that before. People are also upset that Donald Trump was telling jokes about Arnold Palmer's penis. I mean, you know, he's doing it's not the White House. He's doing a presidential rally. These things have almost morphed into stand-up comedy. So, I mean, as far as dictating the format and the style, he's almost become like the Howard Stern of political rallies, the original Howard Stern, you know? Who has ever done a political rally more effectively than Donald Trump? I would say nobody. These people are assholes. Don't be honking at me. I have the light. Terrible. This is my old neighborhood where my office was. Terrible. Hasn't gotten much worse. I mean, much better. It hasn't gotten much worse either. It's the same level of terrible. It's just like lunch places and garbage. Is pretty much the deal. Let's see if anything exciting has happened while I've been walking around. The New York Post thinks that Trump's McDonald's stunt will fry Kamala at the ballot box. I do think it was quite ingenious. Diddy now accused of raping a 13-year-old with 2 other celebrities. Wow. Yeah, it's hard to say what is going on with Diddy and what will happen. And I'm mostly confused by people who are saying that Eric Adams is being targeted. Like people who are pro-Trump hear what Trump is saying about Eric Adams, and they think, you know, he's some kind of like ally. You know, he's on Trump's side. I don't think that's it. The comments that Eric Adams made about the immigration situation destroying New York, he said that because he wanted federal money to come to New York. Oh yeah, I saw a very interesting article in the Post that was talking about, I put it on Twitter, let's see if I can find it. Talking about how nonprofits fleecing the system in New York is how it's worked forever. That's obviously true. But that's what Eric Adams wanted to do. He wanted the problem to grow so substantially that more federal money would come to New York, and then it could be sent to these nonprofit agencies, which all go and hire, you know, security companies, and like that guy was saying, he works for the 35th Street Partnership or whatever. Well, that's a nonprofit that somebody runs and probably gets paid $500,000 to be the CEO of. And so long as there's a migrant crisis in New York City, that person has their $500,000 a year job and probably has their car paid for and who knows what else. They basically live like a millionaire off of the backs of New York City taxpayers and literally by making the problem worse every day. Look at this guy's just going right through the light. And they said that, you know, all these different retail places are closing because everything's just been so robbed. You know, there's nothing they can do. I hope it's not too late. You know, they're taking over apartment buildings. There's just so many stupid people who say, oh, well, not that many apartment buildings being taken over. Why are you so upset about it? That's like Ivan Raiklan. Oh, why are you still upset that I tried to get you put in jail? Like, I don't know. Why would you forgive somebody for deliberately trying to get you put in jail? By the way, I called the court that issued that order and verified that, yeah, you'd get arrested. It's not, you don't get called to court to discuss it. You'd be arrested. So, and by the way, that would be like Field McConnell style, where you'd get arrested by the NYPD, thrown in the tank over here, booked through whatever kind of crazy transfer process takes you from New York to Virginia as a prisoner. So it's not pretty what he was trying to do to me. It's not a joke. That fat dummy Kareen who was like, oh, I'll work this out. This is not high school and we're having some kind of beef over him owing me, lunch money. The guy tried to get me thrown in jail where I could be killed. And obviously that's their plan. So that just made me think that she's part of their plan, which I actually had suspected from the beginning. But going back to something I said at the top of this discussion, I don't want to be suspicious of every single person that comes into my sphere, but unfortunately I have to be. And sometimes, as in the case of our friend Ian, that suspicion proves well placed. I think, look, Duran. Are they all even still alive? What's the guy's name? Simon Laban. And then there's two brothers in there too, right? Anyway, Duran. Coming to the new Madison Square Garden. I guess it looks better, but I don't know. It seems like a lot of construction for not that much better. Oh yeah, Trump is coming to Madison Square Garden in less than a week. That should be a hell of a thing. Imagine the crowd that's going to be over here. I'll be here. I got a ticket. I wonder, what it'll be like to get in. I think they give out more tickets than there are actual spaces, so you still have to get there early. That'll be easy to do, but yeah, I wonder, will they let me in with recording stuff? I don't know, what do people think? Is Ian on the up and up, or was he trying to catch and kill this story? People should ask him, send him this video, send him a tweet, send him a question. Like, why did you, or don't, it's up to you. I'm not trying to compel anybody to do anything. Remember, nothing I say, don't bombard Ian. It's never a call to action apart from becoming a sponsor on odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth, crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com, or subscribestar.com, or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. This is another one of these migrant hotels, and we can see the Igloo cooler selling crew over there sitting on the coolers with all of their goods in there. And we see the food pimps getting ready to do whatever they're going to do. And this is where you have, little 10, 11-year-old kids rolling around in the streets all day, busily becoming criminals, because we got nothing here going on the streets for these people to do other than crime. Really? So that's them. This is your 10, 11-year-old criminals rolling around on the electric vehicles, doing whatever they want, no consequences. That's what we got. A consequence-free, crime-centric society. The only consequences arrive when you attempt to defend yourself, like Daniel Penny, whose trial, I believe, has begun today, jury selection at least. You got this disgusting guy spitting in the street.
I'm gonna stop by. I'm about to sit down.
Sitting there smoking his cigarettes, spitting in the street. I'll tell you, New York, it's just fallen so far. A lot of people think New York was always terrible. I don't know, it used to be really great. Anyway, I wanted to let people know about what appeared to me to be a social engineering catch and kill. I don't know in the end what the net effect of all of this is going to be. I get the sense that Rick doesn't want to talk about it anymore. He did not get back to me with regard to speaking to this constitutional project. And I just, from speaking to him, the sense that I get, I think the only reason I got the second interview with him was the confusion that was realized. And then, I reached out to Dugan the following day and told him, we had realized, Rick and I had realized by the end of the first interview that I was initially confused. And so then the following day, he agreed to do another interview to specifically address that confusion. And I think that was because, again, he started out wanting to talk about it. Didn't like it that he became emotional in the first interview. Did the interview with me to overcome that. Then didn't like it that I was confused in our interview. Did another interview to overcome that and seemed to indicate in that second interview that he's sort of done talking about this, that he's not looking for publicity, he's not trying to sue anybody, he doesn't want to write a book. He just sort of wanted to get this off his chest and put it out there for other people who might be in a similar situation to where he was when this happened and might feel confused and not know what to do. He wanted somebody like that to hear this, and the hope was it could help them. So that's been done, and I expect that we won't hear from him again. I mean, if we do, I'm happy to speak to him, and if somebody else wants to speak, if Ian wants to speak to him, I mean, like I said, I just think all of this is going to go away. Tim Walz and Kamala Harris are not going to win, so nobody's going to care about him anymore, and pursuing his victims is going to become something that people aren't going to be doing. So if Rick doesn't want publicity or a lawsuit, and he doesn't want to speak to me, it's going to be it. And all that remains is for people to wonder, like, who is planning this? Does Ian just get it in his own mind that he's going to get on top of this and debunk this particular story? Why this over anything else that anybody might be talking about right now? And why ignore Rick? I don't know. Could be lots of explanations for any of this stuff, but I think they're good questions to ask, particularly if Ian is somebody that you rely upon. Anyway, that's all I've got to say about that. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Please become a sponsor on odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth, crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com, or subscribestar.com, or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. I couldn't do any of what I'm doing without the generous viewer sponsors who make the show possible. So thanks, everybody, and have a great day.